Hey, all right, guys. How's everyone doing today? Ephraim coming to you live. All right. So we're going to try something new here. This past week, I had a conversation with a friend who seemed to be suffering with, not suffering, but managing. He had some kidney problems. And I've heard this several times, and this is actually a subject that's really near and dear to my heart. There was at one point, just some part of my history and part of who I was. In the past, I used to be a barbecue king, and I showed my friends how to do really good competition level barbecue. And I want to say that, I now consider that lifestyle very unhealthy for several reasons. High protein diets have a tendency to lead towards lifestyle diseases. And that's something I try to avoid and try to teach people how to prevent and reverse. So I had a friend who, I have a couple friends who really could probably use some of this knowledge. And, the continuation of the health videos, I've had other people say, we need to discuss this and discuss this. So I guess I'll be releasing videos pertinent to the subjects that are coming across my table. And in this case, it's oxalates, kidneys, and the benefits of a plant-based, low-protein, low-fat diet for kidney conditions, right? A nephrologist is a kidney specialist, right? A lot of people think you go to a UI doctor, but they're not specialists on kidney disease. You want to see a nephrologist. Once again, they're going to give you oftentimes the Western solutions. And they may even recommend low oxalate diets, and we're going to discuss that. So welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to dive into the topic that affects millions, kidney health, and how our diets, and particular intake of oxalates, fats and proteins, can impact it significantly. Okay? What are oxalates and kidneys? Well, let's start with the oxalates, right? Normally, oxalates are found in different food products. Normally, oxalates combines with calcium in the gut, and it exits the body harmlessly through the stool, right? However, when there's an excess fat in your gut, calcium binds to the fat instead. This leaves oxalates free to be absorbed into the bloodstream and later filtered by the kidneys. Okay, this puts a stress on the kidneys. And were you to be eating a low-fat diet, the fat would not be needing to bind. And we're going to discuss some of these other, pertinent facts, like how does, well, we'll get into it, right? Osteoporosis caused by high-fat diets. That's why they have to fortify dairy products. They choose to fortify dairy products. I don't know if they're mandated to. But there's an impact to a high-fat diet. It just is. And one of the impacts is high-fat diet, especially fats from processed foods, can lead to systemic inflammation, right? Inflammation not only affects the bone health, but also interferes with calcium absorption in the gut, potentially increasing the risk of conditions like osteoporosis. That's what high-fat diets, they have many negative effects, and it's part of the lifestyle problems that Americans are suffering with. So plant-based diet is what we discuss often here, low-protein, low-fat diets. This is where plant-based, low-protein, and low-fat diets come into play. Plant-based diets rich in whole foods can mitigate these risks, of these lifestyle diseases. They typically contain lower levels of animal products. The animal products increase the urinary calcium excretion, major factor in kidney stone formation. This is true. Many things can cause kidney stones, but the primary one is calcium oxalates. And once again, if you have enough calcium in your diet and you have a low-fat diet, that calcium is going to stay in the gut and go out through the stool, bound to the oxalates. But if you're eating a high-fat diet, the calcium is going to be utilized by the fat, and it's going to unbind itself from the oxalates And then those oxalates will then be put out through the urinary tract system, and they can combine with calcium in the urine and create kidney stones. The reason I'm discussing it this way is some of the people I've been talking with have been eating lower and lower amounts of plant-based products, especially dark leafy greens, because of the oxalates in them. I'm like, but this doesn't, in my mind, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Some of the lowest rates of kidney issues are in people who are on plant-based diets. So you would think if it's the plants causing the issue, right, then people who eat plant-based diets would have kidney problems. And the reality is that people who eat low forms, Western diets, which are high in fat, high in proteins, and low in plant-based matter, they're the ones who show kidney problems. So the problem isn't the plants. The problem is introduced when you have these high-fat diets. Plant foods high in oxalates like spinach, beet greens, kale, they're not the primary cause of kidney stones. These oxalates are often bound to fiber and to the calcium that are found in the plants. It reduces their absorption compared to the free oxalates found in processed foods, which is why I recommend plant-based whole food diets. There's nutritional benefits to a plant-based diet. They're naturally rich in alkaline-formed minerals. Alkaline is important. Different diseases flourish in acidic environments, and alkaline environments is hard for these diseases to flourish. So plant-based diets are naturally rich in alkaline-forming minerals, potassium, magnesium. They help maintain a balanced pH in the body. They're also high in citrate. Rich foods like citrus fruits, these are known to prevent stone formations by binding with calcium in the urine. Low oxalate diets are sometimes recommended to prevent kidney stones, which is strange. They don't say, hey, do a low-fat, low-protein diet. Even though a nephrologist, a kidney specialist, you have one of your kidneys removed, the first thing they're going to tell you is go on a low-protein, low-fat diet. They'll tell you that, but they won't tell you. But often that information is missed, and people just go on these low oxalate diets. Going on these low oxalate diets to prevent kidney stones, they can restrict nutrient-dense foods, certain fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. This elimination can be challenging for vegans and vegetarians who rely on these foods for essential nutrients. But it's not going to be the vegans and vegetarians who are eating low-fat, low-protein diets who are going to end up with kidney issues, who are going to be attempting to restrict those foods. Opting for a balanced plant-based diet that's low in animal proteins and fats and rich in calcium from plant sources can significantly support your kidney health. And as always, consult with a healthcare provider or a registered dietitian. Discuss these topics. It's crucial, to tailor your dietary recommendations to your own individual health needs, but do it from a place of knowledge. A physician will tell you it's up to you to guide your health. And that means it's up to you to find ways to prevent and reverse these lifestyle diseases. They are not going to, oftentimes, they will not be able to assist you with this. Not that they don't want to, they just don't have the knowledge. If you find these videos helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with anyone interested in improving their kidney health or their overall health naturally through diet. Stay tuned for more health and nutrition tips. Now we're going to go over just a few extra points. I'm going to switch some notes here. I've made stat claims that 2/3 of us are going to die with decreased kidney function, and I hate throwing stats out because that's a hard one to prove, right? But where I do say where 2/3 of us are going to have decreased kidney function is based on the majority of people will show lifestyle diseases in America. By age 65, there's like 65% of us are going to have hypertension, which decreases kidney function. 25% of us are going to be showing type 2 diabetes. Also, greatly affects the kidneys. So I hate throwing those percentages out, but they're based on knowledge percentages of what people end up having these diseases. I come from a world of healthcare and data management, and I've created report tools where I've been able to look at large data sets of health issues, lifestyle health issues. And you can really, once you start looking at data in a different way, I tend to then be able to use that to reverse engineer some of the information I've been taught over the years and re-educate myself using the stats. Saying, well, this is actually how it fits into the stat world as opposed to what they're telling us, right? I've been blessed to have those opportunities in life. So calcium is essential for fat metabolism, right? And that's why people who eat unfortified dairy products, and what it means that they don't add calcium to them, they end up with osteoporosis often. A lot of increased. So in order for fat to metabolize, it's the enzyme lipase. It's required to function. Lipoprotein lipase breaks down the triglycerides, which are a form of fat. It contains 3 fatty acids, right, or 1 glycerol molecule. They make up about 95% of all dietary fats. High fat diets can create a state of systemic inflammation in the body. It increases bone reabsorption and promotes fat accumulation in bone marrow. Of course, many other diseases. And a high-fat diet is also directly going to interfere with the calcium absorption in the gut. Yeah, right? It places you at a greater risk for obesity, which could be negative for affecting bone health. Vitamin D, which we barely get enough of, many of us don't get enough of, is a hormone created through exposure to the sun. It promotes calcium absorption and maintains adequate blood levels of calcium and phosphate. So if we have low vitamin D, then we're also going to potentially have a resistance to calcium absorption. So we're not going to have enough vitamin D, and your bones become thin, brittle. If you're eating high-fat diets, the easiest source of calcium is your bones. So once again, thin, brittle bones. A lot of us elders, or a lot of elder people, do end up with osteoporosis. They have low vitamin D levels, and they eat high-fat diets, and they're not getting enough leafy greens, and so they're missing their essential minerals. They're just missing, right? Vitamin D is not a vitamin. We call it vitamin D, but it's really a hormone or prohormone. It's produced by the skin in response to sunlight, or we absorb it from food products. It's converted into a hormone, calcitrol, in the liver and kidneys. So you need to have proper functioning liver and kidneys, and helps the body absorb the calcium and the phosphate, which are essentials for bone and teeth health. Most kidney stones in the Western countries are made up of calcium and oxalates. But once again, that's because the calcium is being removed in our gut. Usually calcium is bound to the oxalate when you eat it from a whole food plant-based diet. But if you're eating a high-fat diet, the calcium is going to separate from the calcium oxalate, and it's going to bind to the fats utilized by the fat process system. And your oxalates are no longer going to go out through your stool. They're going to be processed into your bloodstream and then filtered out through your kidneys. And that's where you end up with most kidney stones becoming calcium oxalate within the Western countries. And that's not the only thing that causes stones. You have to make sure you stay properly hydrated. A lot of people don't drink enough water, or if they're drinking enough, or they're drinking other substances, high amounts of caffeinated products, which, which are diuretics, or just not drinking enough fluid. You got to make sure you get whole food plant-based are usually heavy in water. So, you have to drink a certain amount of water a day, but if you're eating foods that have large contents of water, that helps with that. Most people with stones, they're people who eat a diet low in plant foods, and their kidney problems are almost unknown in starch-based diet portions of the world, corn, potato, rice, etc. People who eat that as their primary source of protein don't really have kidney problems across the planet. Modern day vegetarians have about half the incidence of stones as the general population. And that's apparently a paradoxal to plants being high in oxalates. But plant food eaters rarely get stones. This can be explained by understanding the effects of protein and fats on our metabolism, right? Yeah. So people with certain dietary restrictions have food preferences. They also find it challenging to follow a low oxalate diet. And it limits so many foods. Vegetarian and vegans probably should not try a low oxalate diet because they have to cut things out like beans and tofu, which are high in oxalates. But that's their primary source of proteins, right? Tofu is made from bean curd. I don't know if people realize that. It's basically bean curd with the fiber removed. What? Yes. Fermented. Protein deficiencies can cause problems, but protein deficiency doesn't really exist in America. Could you create a protein deficient diet by having like a mono food? Sure. If you're not eating enough calories, you can become protein deficient. But if you're eating enough calories and you're eating a variety of plant-based foods, including your starches, you can't create a protein deficiency on a well-rounded diet. It just doesn't exist. People worry about protein deficiencies, but it's overhyped. I've seen infants who aren't able to consume products, or I've seen the elderly in the hospitals that are on feed tubes, and so they're protein deficient because they're not eating, right? There are people who just have lost their appetites, and they can theoretically become protein deficient because they're not getting enough calories, right? If you're getting enough calories from a variety of sources, it'd be very hard to create an amino acid deficiency or protein deficiency. So, if you're going to follow a low oxalate diet, you have to be planning carefully. Make sure your diet treats all your nutritional needs, that you're getting your micronutrients from other sources, that you're getting your minerals from other sources. Yeah. Plant-based diets are lower in animal proteins and purines found in meat and fish, right? And they contribute to uric acid stone formation. They're generally higher in citrate-rich foods such as citrus fruits, which usually help prevent stone formation by binding to the calcium in the urine. Adequate calcium intake is important. It really is. Because it can bind with the oxalate in the intestines, and then the oxalates go out with the stool. If you reduce its absorption, and therefore you reduce the risk of calcium oxalate stones by having enough calcium in your diet. And that comes from your leafy greens. There's a lot of foods, a lot of plant-based foods that give you the correct amount of calcium. The oxalate is bound to the fiber, is bound to the calcium. But you can find free oxalates in processed foods or in supplements. So you have to be careful about those supplements too. There's a lot of supplements out there that would be processed that had where the fiber or the calcium's been removed. And so you're just getting these oxalates, and you have to be careful with those. Hydration, balanced diet, hydration, adequate hydration is crucial for reducing the risk of kidney stone formation. I drink half a gallon to a gallon of water a day, whether I need to or not. That means I go to the bathroom a lot. I often get up in the middle of the night because I'm still drinking water at night. I have to get out of that habit. Stop a few hours earlier. But I like water. I do. I think water is delicious. I like just chugging back, a third of a gallon at a time. It makes me full, keeps me hydrated. I know a lot of people just sip on water. And I eat a lot of hydrating foods. I eat a lot of fruit, a lot of greens that contain the fiber and still have the liquid in them. You have to be careful, man. Kidney stones, they hurt. There's other types of stones. So I keep saying calcium oxalate, but you can create uric acid, high levels of uric acid, which are also related to diets high in animal protein, and creates conditions like gout, right? That's uric acid buildup. You get struvite, and they can be in response to an infection in the in your urinary tract. They can, with magnesium, ammonium, and phosphates. But these are less occurring. Most stones are calcium oxalate. Cystine stones, they're rare. Usually a genetic disorder. Yeah, we can go over the foods that are high, in calcium. Leafy greens, kale, collard greens, turnip greens, bok choy, also high in oxalates, but they're high in calcium. The calcium binds to the oxalates. You don't have to worry about it unless you're eating a high-fat diet, in which case then you have to worry about it. So seasoned nuts, right? But those are higher in fat, so I tend not to eat too many of them. Legumes, white beans, soybeans, great sources of calcium. Of course, the fortified milks. Or plant milks, almond, soy, oat, they vary, but they are fortified. Broccoli, okra, good sources of calcium. Yeah. Meat diets, particularly diets high in animal proteins, they contribute to the increased use of calcium oxalate kidney stones for several reasons, right? The increased urinate calcium. Diets high in animal proteins increase the amount of calcium excreted in urine. Higher urinary calcium levels contribute to the formation of calcium oxalate crystals, which eventually lead to the kidney stone, right, formation. So we've gone over this, but I'm just going to reiterate it. Animal proteins can also acidify urine, which help promote the formation of calcium oxalate stones. An acid urine pH can increase the likelihood of calcium oxalate crystals. Lower forms of hydration. Diets high in animal protein may be associated with lower hydration levels. They don't contribute water to the diet as compared to eating like a piece of fruit, right? Inadequate hydration can lead to more concentrated urine, which increases the risk of stones formation. Especially some people who do just like mostly animal protein diets, like they're not taking in their hydration in other forms and fiber. Oh, animal proteins contain purines, which lead to increased uric acid production. Higher uric acid levels in the urine contribute to the formation of uric acid stones, another type of kidney stone. Plant-based diets, rich in vegetables, fruit, legumes, and whole grains tend to be lower in animal proteins. They provide more alkaline components, more citrate from fruits, which help prevent the formation of kidney stones. They're higher in water content. Meat diets, or let's use the word meat diets, but animal protein diets can contribute to an increased risk of calcium oxalate kidney stones. Hydration status. And there's also genetic predisposition. So I don't want to rule that out, right? Some people are just going to genetically be more predisposed. So those are the people who really should be concentrating on their diet, not removing the oxalates, but removing the fats. Make sure that the oxalates they are consuming aren't processed oxalates and that they're coming from leafy greens and other forms that have fiber and calcium in them. Don't avoid them, avoid the fat that's causing the issue, right? And you're also going to help yourself by avoiding other lifestyle diseases like osteoporosis, inflammation. Yeah. So, the body naturally regulates its acid-base balance through various physiological mechanisms, kidney function, respiratory control. A diet rich in plant-based foods can support these processes by providing alkaline minerals and reducing dietary acids. However, individual factors like your overall diet, quality, hydration status, and other health conditions play a role in maintaining your acid-base balance within your body. Achieving a perfectly alkaline pH in the body is not necessary or necessarily desirable. The goal is to maintain a balanced pH that supports overall health and well-being, right? Consult with your healthcare provider, registered dietitian, and they might be able to help provide you some personalized guidance based on your dietary choices to support your optimal health. You know, just remember, I hope you all getting some information. Oxalates, kidneys, benefits of a plant-based, low-protein, low-fat diet for yourselves. Once again, like, comment, and subscribe if you find value in this video or want to see more of it. It really does help me, so I really would appreciate that. Stay tuned for more health and nutrition tips. Until next time, take care, eat well.